Welcome, financial professionals. My name is Josh Meester, Regional Vice President and Partner here at E4, joined by Doug Twiddy, our Director of Annuities. We welcome you to the BREW, Building Relationships Every Week. Thank you for tuning in. And for those of you joining the BREW for the first time, we always start with the national days. We got 3 of them today. First one definitely hits home for us Wisconsinites. It is National Cheese Day. Also, National Cognac Day. And lastly, it's National Running Day. I don't run. I'm lactose intolerant, so I guess I will just be drinking. In June, we're going to focus on annuities. It is Annuity Awareness Month. Today, Doug and I will discuss how to effectively position annuities for your clients, consider the features and functions of annuities. We'll also discuss how we can protect your clients in volatile times with these solutions, and we'll dive into the various features and factors advisors should be aware of. We encourage you to use the chat box or raise your hand to ask questions throughout. All attendees will be entered into a drawing for a CE voucher and Starbucks gift card, which we will announce at the end. Thank you for joining us today. So Doug, we've made it to June. Both you and I have birthdays this month, but I think you're probably more excited that it is officially Annuity Awareness Month, as for those who know Doug, annuities are his baby. So hopefully we have good brews. We have 4 of them coming up. We have a third Thursday on the 19th. Hopefully everybody can join. We can take some nuggets and drive some sales. So Doug, kind of knowing not all of our advisors have been in the business for 20, 30 years. Some are brand new. On the flip side, some are more life focused or linked benefit or DI. Annuities isn't a huge part of it. I just kind of want to start kind of in the most basic form, just what an annuity is, in your opinion.
Yeah, so I guess high level, annuity is simply a contract between you and the insurance company that allows you to shift a portion of your risk away from you and onto the company. And you can basically do it in 2 ways, through either tax deferred accumulation or through a guaranteed income stream, kind of like a pension.
And again, you don't care which one. You just like annuities whatsoever.
Well, I do like annuities, but I also like to think that we try to find the right annuity for the right person for the right reason. And if an annuity doesn't necessarily fit the goal, then we say so as well. But I do think an annuity probably fits most people's portfolios to some extent, as long as you've got the right annuity.
Yep. And what types of annuities are there? It's not like there's 100 different types, but could you just run over high level what types of annuities have MYGAs, FIAs, etc.?
Yeah. So as we said, it's either tax deferred accumulation, which we can do through MYGAs, multi-year guaranteed annuities, which are fixed rates, kind of like a CD at a bank, except you get the tax deferred growth inside of it. So it's compounded interest on top of compounded interest, right? You can throw a little bit more risk in there and allow yourself to possibly get a larger return. Or on the flip side, you could also get a 0, so we're still always protecting the principal amount. Generally, we're even protecting the interest earned each year. So you're not going to see a loss in your account value due to market fluctuation. But we can provide accumulation options in different ways. Or you can take an annuity that provides an income stream that can be somewhere between either a fixed period certain, maybe you just need 4 or 5 years worth of income, maybe you want income for the rest of your life, maybe a little bit of both, right? You want money forever, but guaranteed at least 20 years, guarantee your money back if you don't get it all back in income, right? There's several different ways to go about it, depending on the client themselves.
So there's lots of options, lots of options, lots of levers to pull. And to your point, our goal here at E4 is really to find the right product, case design, etc. Who should consider annuity? I know that's kind of a loaded question, but I guess is there a certain age group? Is it people leading into retirement, certain years to retirement? Again, I know that's kind of a loaded question, but should anyone consider annuity, or can you be too young? I know there's ages and stuff. Can you just touch on that?
Well, for the accumulation side, anybody that has some safe money in their portfolio, right? If you've got a little bit of aggressive money and a little bit of safe money, that safe money is where we typically play for the annuity side. So if you have safe money, you should probably look at an annuity as an option for that safe money. Again, whether it's guaranteed growth or a little bit more risky. And if you are older, nearing retirement, at retirement, obviously you need spending money. You've got to pay some bills without any earned income. And you should definitely consider an annuity because it's the only vehicle out there that can provide you lifetime income and guarantee that it will never end.
Yeah, lots of people worry about running out of money at the end of the day. Now, you've been in the industry, call it 15 years plus, correct, Doug?
Maybe 25 years.
Oh, 25 years. Huh? Yeah, that's what I said, or longer. So you've been around the block. You've heard, and we've even discussed with advisors and clients. The advisors love the solution, perfect product, and we get the outcome of the client just told us they hate annuities. Some people, and there's things out on the web, they can catch a bad reputation. Anything you'd, I guess, say to that? Are there certain sites or articles that you'd point to, or at the end of the day, is there true there's pros and cons to everything, but is there anything to it, I guess, when it comes to the somewhat of the bad reputation people have with annuities?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're finding it online, right, you can find anything, literally anything you want. So if you search for bad reviews on annuities, you're going to find it. If you search for good reviews, you're going to find that as well. But annuities did get a bad rep for some time. A lot of it is fees, right? And so if we look back at old variable annuity or current variable annuities, right, there are a lot of fees inside of it, and you got to understand what you're really getting. The bad rep typically comes on the client side, though, not to the advisor side, because the clients maybe didn't get what they thought they were getting. And sometimes that comes because the advisor wasn't selling what they thought they were selling. And I think that's where someone like us, a company like E4, is vital in this industry. That's where we focus. The only thing I do is sit here and look at annuities all day. Right? I don't prospect. I don't go sit at dining room tables. I don't have people come to my office. I don't mess with life insurance. All I do is look at annuities. So I try to make sure that I really understand the products inside and out, all the features, the benefits, the possible fees, the upsides, the downsides. And if we can have a real conversation about your client and their ages, maybe the children, their wishes, their fears, their concerns, their wants, we can definitely find the right annuity for that client. So if the fear is, I had a client one time, they bought a fixed indexed annuity. We were expecting 20% annual returns, and they got 0% for 3 years in a row. Well, you probably chose an allocation option that we shouldn't have. Right. And we work a lot in looking at allocation options. We look at what we should really expect from those allocations. And hopefully we guide in a much better direction. We don't want the clients to get 0% returns. We don't want the advisors to sit down and have a policy anniversary conversation about why it's a 0% return, especially when the S&P is up 10, 15, 20%. Those, you just can't explain those. So that's one of the bad reps. We don't have many of those conversations here, though. So I like to think we're hopefully doing the right thing. And when it comes to fees, we don't do very many fees. We don't do variable annuities, so there's no M&E expenses. The only fees that we have in our annuities really are if you are buying an enhancement to your product, right? A premium bonus, an enhanced death benefit, long-term care features, lifetime income riders, right? You're offsetting a small portion of your account each year for that enhanced benefit. And typically, if you're buying that, that's why you bought the annuity, right? You bought it for lifetime income. So it's okay to have that offset expense. Outside of that, the only fees that you might see really are allocation fees. And we do very, very little of those, not to say that they're not worthy. We just have to be able to justify putting that fee into the annuity. You have to justify the fact that the client could potentially see a decrease in their account value because maybe they got a 0% return and still add a fee on top of that. So we pride ourselves on looking at the features and the benefits and the concerns of all the annuities and understanding the options.
And I'm glad you went in on the fees, because I was actually just going to kind of tee that up, because obviously I'm aware the MYGAs don't have fees. And to your point, much of our FIAs, safe accumulation, don't have fees. And I know, Doug, you've spoken to our sales team a ton on rate integrity. That's also something you look at when it comes to ABC carrier. How often are they changing their caps if you're in a cap strategy and whatnot? So again, for everybody listening or watching, rate integrity is something that Doug prides himself on looking at, and at the end of the day, truly wants to give you as the advisor and ultimately the client the best solution. And again, no surprises, hopefully.
Yeah, that's a good point, because it's not necessarily a fee that we have to worry about dragging the account value down, but it is the integrity of the product in the long run. And some people have problems with fixed indexed annuities. Advisors would have problems with a fixed indexed annuity because that cap or par is not guaranteed, right? The rate for the future is not guaranteed. And a lot of our advisors do 5 and 7 year products so that they don't have to worry about the integrity of that rate over, say, a 10-year period. Definitely not a 14, 15-year period. But we also look at the length of time the carrier has been doing this, the length of time the product has been around, and what that rate integrity for each product looks like. So we might have one carrier that has, for example, let's say a 10% cap on the S&P, but I can tell you historically, their rate integrity is about 90%. 90 is not terrible, but you can almost rest assured that rate's going to come down just a little bit every year, right? Or would you take a 9.5% cap from a carrier that's got 100% rate integrity on a product that's been around for 10 plus years, right? And they can say they have literally never lowered the cap on a client after the purchase of a policy.
Yep. Not everything's won by a spreadsheet or just a rate.
You can't open up a software like an Annuity Rate Watch or Annuities Genius and just hit a sort button and see what the top rate is and buy it, right? We've really got to understand the carriers and the products and the features, because there are many, many times that we will promote and push and sell the number 2 or number 3 option because we believe that is the better option in the long run, right? Or maybe it has different features internally that the one above it did not have.
Yep. So kind of another high level question, how and when should annuities be considered for tax deferred growth?
Well, I think tax deferred growth is always part of somebody's wishes, right? Some of the biggest accumulation pieces out there right now are like 401ks, right? You're trying to defer the taxes on money. So if annuities can allow you to do that in a slightly different manner, right? You can get some of your taxes out of the way, which annuities, you can still buy IRAs, right? We can still have totally tax deferred dollars inside of it, but you can write a check from a checking account, move money from, stocks and buy an annuity and then get tax deferred growth inside of that. So if we're trying to eliminate a little bit of the taxable income each year, right? Maybe you've got money at a bank in a CD and you're paying income taxes on the growth of it each year. And we want to get rid of paying those taxes, but you don't want to get rid of growing money, right? So we can move it into an annuity and get that growth inside of it. But of course, that comes down a lot to what the rest of your taxable income looks like at the moment, or how much tax deferred money do you have that's set aside for retirement. Maybe you do want to pay some taxes now, so you're not paying as many taxes later, right? Maybe we need to talk about Roth conversions inside of an annuity. Those
Yep.
are all different kind of conversations that we can have.
Okay. And we touched on it a little bit, but creating income streams. Why should annuity be considered instead of a typical managed portfolio?
Yeah, no, great question. We started this by talking about how annuities generally are funded through the fixed income bond, safe money side of a portfolio. So if we're thinking the idea of those funds and you're hoping for 4% returns, which is what we average here between advisors. If we're hoping for 4% returns, and then when the time comes for retirement, you're going to take what the safe withdrawal rate's like 3.5 now. You're going to take 3.5% of that, and hopefully you don't run out of money. Right? And I realize you're taking 3.5% of an entire portfolio, but we're still running on numbers. And instead of hoping for 4% returns, we can put it in an annuity, and we can guarantee an increase in the value, not account value necessarily, but we can increase the numerical value by things like a 20% bonus on day one, right? 8% guaranteed growth per year on top of that. And then instead of taking 3.5% and hoping you don't run out of money, we can give you 6%, 6.5%, 7%, and guarantee it for life. That's a very powerful story. If you just compare the numbers side by side, why would you not consider that? I have yet to find somebody that can show me why that should not be an option for retirement. Numbers are numbers. They don't lie, right? 2 + 2 is always 4.
And for those that know Doug, he likes his numbers. He likes his Excel. He can prove it.
I do like my numbers, and I can prove it.
So kind of piggybacking off the income, lifetime income annuity, do you, and again, you focus on the annuity, call it specifically, but do you see annuities being utilized to fund other things like life contracts, link benefit, etc.? Is there a fit there?
Yeah. So, a lot of times we say it's not what it is, it's what it does. And that's what we push towards an annuity for. So it's why buy the annuity? Can you fund your long-term care needs, right? Instead of leaving money put aside or literally paying a long-term care premium and maybe never needing it, we have options to where we can give you that long-term care coverage without losing money to a long-term care premium. You can fund annuities to fund a life insurance. If you're gonna do a 10-pay life policy, why not throw some money into a guaranteed income stream that's going to give you a 4.5%-ish internal rate of return that will automatically cover that life policy. And if something happens and you pass away in, say, 5 years, not only does the death benefit pay out, but the other 5 years of income pays out. If you want to guarantee money to a charitable organization, right, we can do that through an annuity. There's lots of options that we can use an annuity for.
Well, and I've never ran across an advisor that doesn't like to make 2 sales or possibly 3 sales. So
yeah,
simple math again. Would you rather make 1 or 2 or 3?
A lot of the life carriers, I'm not the life person, right? But a lot of the life carriers I know have that premium deposit account, whether they call it that or something different. It's the same idea, but could we manage it better separately? Maybe not, but why not look at it?
Those are the things we try to look at. So as we kind of run up to time, I'll just leave you with one last question here. Again, we've gone over quite a bit, but what other features that just top of mind to you, annuity-wise, would you speak to wrap up? In my head, I don't know if we've necessarily talked about cap locks or triggered allocations. Are there just a few other things that you'd like to mention as we wrap up today that advisors should be aware of that we have within these annuity solutions?
Well, there's lots of things to be aware of, but I guess if you're not used to the industry, those are a couple of good things to bring up, right? If you have a cap lock and we can guarantee that cap's never going to move for the duration of the surrender period, and it's a competitive rate, right? If that brings some security and comfort to your sales process or to the client, then why not throw it in there, right? Maybe instead of getting a 10% cap, you get an 8, but you know that 8's going to stay. Or if we can do a trigger where we don't have to worry about how much was the index up. It's just, was the index up or down, or was it down, right? If the index is down, you're protected against loss. If it's not down, you get the full trigger. That's a pretty solid option, right? There's not much calculation to that.
Solid option and easy story, easy, simple, straightforward sale from a client standpoint, in my opinion, too.
Yeah.
Well, perfect. As we wrap up today, I'd just like to remind everybody that today's brew and our entire library are recorded and shared on our brew page on our website, www.e4.insurance. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We post everything up there as well, and they are released every Wednesday each week. So just, again, as we wrap up, if there are any questions, feel free to unmute, throw it in the chat. I'll just give it a minute before we throw out a number to Doug and pick our winner. So if anybody has a question.
I see one of what's worse, the opportunity cost of fixed rate / indexed annuities or the charges on a variable annuity. I guess that answer varies drastically based on the product that we're choosing, right? If you're choosing a fixed rate MYGA, you could get 5.5, or you could scroll way down and get 3.5. So the answer to that would vary on that. But to me, it's that we're not necessarily competing for the same money. I like to think that the fixed rate or the indexed rates are competing for safer money. Whereas a variable annuity, you're accepting several different fees inside of it for the potential of much larger growth, right? It's more risky, it's more aggressive. And
some clients have that risk tolerance.
Yeah, maybe you're perfectly fine with having the costs of the annuity itself plus the sub-account costs. Hopefully the interest on it covers that and then some. But I'm sure there's other money that you want to be more safe. And that's where the fixed and fixed indexed annuities come into play.
Perfect.
That said, we've looked at a lot of variable annuity statements over the years in comparison them to replacing to fixed indexed or fixed index with lifetime income. And I'll be honest, I haven't been too excited about a lot of the statements that I've looked at personally, at least. Maybe that's why those are the ones that I've been looking at, because they've averaged 2% returns. And maybe the ones that are doing really well, they don't send to me to see what it looks like to change it out. But
yeah, I see a lot of variable statements, and to your point, we have solutions to at least compare or beat many of them. So again, for any advisors on the call or listening to the recording, if you have a VA book, we're happy to look at statements and tell you yay or nay. Again, we're not going to try to jam a sale down anybody's throat. It either makes sense or it doesn't. So now you got another question?
Yep. If a client is already in an income phase, can they still consider different options? We do a lot of income replacements. I don't generally like to have a conversation about replacing annuities with high surrender charges. Right. I don't ever want to feel like we're in a position where we are just trying to sell an annuity to sell an annuity. I think that's wrong. But if we can put the client in a better position, then it's absolutely worth it. So, for example, we did one about a year ago that the policy was about 2 years old, and there were 8% surrender charges in it. but the industry, the rates had gone up so much, products had become so much more powerful that we were able to replace that, pay 8% surrender charges, move it to another product, and not only guarantee higher income for the client, but guarantee 3% increasing income as well for life. So, yeah, I would definitely consider any annuity out there that's already got income running. I would definitely look at it and see what the numbers look like today.
Yep. And again, I've seen plenty of those. So again, to advisors that, ABC client started it 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Don't just put it by the wayside. Again, give us a statement. Let us compare. Takes all of 2 minutes, and we can tell you if we have a better solution or not. Do you see any other questions, Doug?
Nope, that's all I've got so far.
All righty. Well, for the giveaway, can you pick a number between 1 and 32?
132. Let's go with 17.
Perfect. Let's see here. So our winner is Barry Finn. So thank you for joining us, Barry, and congrats. Be on the lookout for the CE voucher and Starbucks gift card from all of us at E4. Next week, the BREW will be released at 10 a.m. Central. There's a pre-recorded version. We'll be talking about how life insurance isn't the only wealth transfer tool available, and for your uninsurable client, it isn't an option anyway. Join Doug and I as we discuss our solutions for the uninsurable clients by utilizing specific features in our annuity portfolio. Many resort to MYGAs in these situations, but let's really look at the options and create the best outcome for your clients. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in or listening. We'll see you next week on The BREW.